All right, welcome in everybody. Daniel Ball has the night off, but that's all right. The show has to keep going, and we are actually going to do a school that we've only had on one other time. We've only had Jason Savakul from Maryland baseball on, but tonight we're going to get to talk Maryland gymnastics for the first time. So with that being said, Natalie Martin, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing great.
Yeah, we are excited to have you. Like I told you before we stepped on, SEC country, get to go to a lot of LSU gymnastics meet. That's my favorite team as well, but don't get to go around as much. So I'm excited to get to learn more, obviously get to know your story, but we got to talk Olympics right now. We got to talk worldwide right now. All the talk is USA, rightfully so. Did you get to watch? And if you did, just, I mean, how entertaining was it?
Amazing. It was I I did predict that it was gonna go that way just with Russia not being able to compete this year. We didn't really have too much competition, like looking at it, but I mean, it's always so amazing to watch the elites do what they do. Like it's even mind blowing just being in the sport and watching them do it, let alone like it's always so cool and so fun to watch. So
Yeah,
never never
it's
miss it.
interesting, right? The way it's different from college, the difficulty, right? Like it's one of those things that I was at the national championship in Fort Worth and I'm watching the best of the best in the country, and then you watch someone like Simone just do things that you I didn't see any of these other girls do, right? And it's not even just Simone, obviously that's the easiest name to throw, but even like a Suni Lee, who I've seen three times in person at Auburn, the difficulty of what she does, it shows that college is different. And obviously the rules are different, the way you mount up onto the beam, or how long the routine is on bar. So I can't even begin to wrap my mind around practicing the difficulty of being an Olympian gymnast.
Yeah, I couldn't even like wrap my head around it. Like the rules are just so different, and it's so amazing to watch those girls go up there and do what they do because there is no way I could ever do anything like that. So it's always entertaining, always fun to watch. So I
I,
absolutely love it.
I do want to ask your perspective on something, and then we'll move on. So, Luisa Blanco's a guest of the show. Aaliyah Finnegan's a guest of the show, and I'll be honest, I talked about seeing them in person. I know them very well too. Having on the show multiple times, I could kind of see the nerves. Like, how hard do you think that's got to be? It's cool when for instance, Aaliyah, the PMAX sells out with 12,000, but like
Yeah.
just worldwide, like I mean, it's gotta be hard. But we talk about Simone, she's used to it, right? It's normal for her, but for these
Oh
girls
yeah.
that's normally on a college stage, I mean, your heart's gotta be beating a million miles per minute.
Yeah, I could not imagine. I mean, college training is so different from elite. Just like growing up throughout our gym, I've seen like a bunch of elites kind of compete and stuff. So the way that we train is so different. So to be able to like switch your brain between those two is so like mind boggling to me. Like just like you don't have the same reputation, like not reputation, like repetition that you do in college that you do in elite, just because the skills are so much harder and they're so much harder on your body. You can't
Mhm.
do as many as you can in college. So just being able to do that and having that many eyes on you is crazy.
Well, what's
So
the perspective is everything, right? So it's kind of funny. So the top 24 advanced individually, and so Luisa made it with the 24 spot. And it's funny because you say 24 and it doesn't sound that good, but you're talking about the entire world. Like 24 is outstanding, right? So it kind of sounds bad, right? Like you say 24th, like but out of the
yeah,
world, yeah, that's great.
it's absolutely insane. I mean, I have one of my old teammates who also goes to Alabama who's in the same class as Louisa. So I've kind of been following her all along through her Bama career, and like she is an amazing college gymnast. She's a great elite gymnast. It baffles me how she is still able to do the things that she is doing at her age and her body hasn't broken down. So she is absolutely amazing.
Absolutely. I tried to get talk about age. There's a video that was out there that Kaya Johnson and Alona Shenikova took of me, and I got up on the beam, and we'll just say at 40 years old, it didn't go well. It didn't go as well as I imagined it, but I did it, and that's all that really matters. But
That's
moving
definitely all that
on,
matters.
a fun topic with all college athletes is always to talk music. when you come from different places around the country, people like different kinds of music and they have favorite artists. And so, I ask you if you could go see any musician anywhere, like who would you go see? Where would you go see them?
Zach Bryan, for sure. Um, Really, any concert that he performs at, they all look so amazing. I really want to see him in concert. He came to Columbus this year, but I didn't get tickets because I don't know. I just forgot about it, but I very much so regret that decision. So, him for sure. I love
What
his
when
song.
I need to do, and maybe you need to do, when you talk about anywhere, I've yet to do it, but these football stadium concerts apparently are like the place to go because when you have that many people and it gets that loud, no different than a football game, right? Except you're getting loud for a
Yeah.
musician. Every guest that we've had come on and talk about that just say you can't beat them. So that would be cool if you definitely got to see one in one of those large football stadiums up there your way. That would be cool.
Yes. Yes, it would. It definitely
Uh,
would.
so sports movies, got to talk about it. Maybe it's a gymnastics movie, maybe it's not. If you could pick a favorite sports movie or maybe just your go-to sports movie that you like to watch, what would it be?
Um, I think Revenge of the Titans.
Remember the Titans? I got you.
Remember the Titans, that's what it is. I forgot. That was
Hey, it's
oh
all good.
gosh. Oh
I
gosh.
I actually watched a I'm having trouble myself. I watched the other day, said something to my sister, really revealing my age. My sister's 9 years older than me, so she's 49, I'm 40, but it's an 80s gymnastics movie, and I watched it to prepare for the Olympics, and I had to look everywhere to find it, and I watched it, and it's amazing how cheesy it is, right? You know how 80s movies can be like that. Um,
Yeah.
but I still liked it because the gymnastics were actually real. I'm actually looking it up right now. American Anthem. The
I've never
reason
watched
the
that one.
acting was so cheesy was because they were real Olympian gymnasts.
Oh,
So like the main character guy, he was a gold medal winner in 1984 for the US. So that's why he was not a great actor, but it helped. He was good at gymnastics. He's a good-looking cat. So hey, why not put him on screen, right? In the 80s, I'm sure
yeah.
that movie killed. But no, I watched it and went back and I was like, the gymnastics though were fantastic. It gave a realistic look of what the U.S. nationals were. But as far as like just overall plot and acting, it was like, ugh, this is a tough watch.
Yeah. I always feel like all the gymnastics, I do like Stick It. That is like, if I had to pick a gymnastics movie, I would definitely say Stick It. But I feel like that's kind of like the generic
Well,
one.
I
I
think,
feel
but
like
I think
that's,
her attitude is the realistic way of a lot of gymnasts you meet, and so I think it gives an accurate portrayal.
it definitely is. It's just a little bit cheesy, but I feel like that's how all gymnastics movies are. They're all a little bit painful to watch, but
Well, I think that's an assumption though, right? When it comes to gymnastics and cheerleading, they don't realize how hard y'all work and what that life is really like. They think it's just a whole rah-rah type thing. And so I think it's just a misunderstanding because, for years when I remember when I was naive and a kid that didn't know, I used to think that gymnastics and cheerleading weren't sports and everything because I was a football player. And then I got to high school and I noticed that the gymnastics team and the cheerleading team would still be there practicing when we went home at 6, right? And then I dated one and noticed they didn't get home till like 9 o'clock. They practiced from the time they got out of school till like 9 o'clock. And you realize, how dare I say that's not a sport when they put in the hours to do. And then on top of that, our team was not that good and they won the national championship that year in Orlando. So it's like they bringing home trophies. We didn't bring home nothing.
that's kind of funny. Yeah,
So
it's definitely a very intense sport. I mean, I never really realized it until going to college, like how much more we're in the gym versus like other sports. Like when I would talk to my friends from like other sports, they're like, "Oh, I'm free from this time to this time." I'm like, "I'm still in practice." So it's definitely different.
So I said I was done, but I got to bring it back around. The Steven guy from the U.S. men's team that did just the Palm Wars. Let me ask you this because I know we've never had. You're the 17th female gymnast we've had. We've never had a male to be that good. He talked about how he didn't do the other events, and he's very studious and everything. But to be that good, like I don't know how many hours a week do you think he puts in on that thing?
Um, I would, I mean, so the NCAA doesn't allow us to go over 20, but I don't know if that's different for men's. That might be different, but that doesn't include, like, he could just be doing it on his own free time.
And
I
it's clearly
also
hitting the
don't
weight
know.
room because, he may have looked nerdy, but when them muscles flared out, yeah.
Oh yeah, all those men's gymnasts they're ripped. They're very ripped. But the stuff that they're like the rings, I've even if you've ever seen it, it's like the iron. It's called an iron cross. It's like where they're
Yeah.
in a T.
Hmm.
I tried that once, could not do it at all.
That was where in that movie you could tell that they were real gymnasts because they actually showed that there wasn't a stunt double doing that in that movie, and it was showing them do it. And yeah, their muscles were all flat out. So I know exactly that makes
Oh
my
yeah,
arms hurt just watching it. And it's actually, we had a conversation one time when Kaya Johnson was on here, and she said we asked her what event of the men's would scare her the most, and she said that, and she specifically said that move. She said I wouldn't want to have to do an iron cross on the rings.
no, no. I feel like my elbows would like snap. Like I don't know how like even their elbows are. It's so confusing to me.
Let's
But
stick to what you do.
yeah, for
All
sure.
right. Well, speaking of what you do, we got to get to your story. For those who don't know, maybe this is their first time getting to know anything about you. Where are you from?
I'm from Columbus, Ohio.
And so, for those
So
who are unaware, everyone should know the Ohio State University comes from Columbus.
yes, I'm in a suburb, but I'm from Westerville, but it's a suburb of Columbus. It's just easier to say Columbus because I feel like nobody really knows Ohio very well. So then like Columbus, they're like OSU Buckeyes. So it kind of relates everyone back a little bit.
So, small suburb outside of it, but is it one of those things that if you're to go do something, you're going to go into Columbus?
Yes, definitely. There's definitely a lot to do in Westerville, but I do tend to like go up to Columbus every
It's
now
it's the
and
same thing. I don't tell people
then.
I'm from South Haven. I say Memphis, and if we're gonna go out to dinner to a nice restaurant, we're gonna go to Memphis. We're not gonna do it here. So I know
Yeah.
exactly what you're talking about. But talk to me
Yeah.
about family. You got brothers, sisters. Only child. What we got?
I have one older brother who goes to Penn State. He's 2 years older than me, so he's going to be a senior in college this year. So we're super close. Big Ten rival schools. Well, Penn State doesn't consider us their rival, but we consider them. So
Is he an athlete
just
as well?
he is not an athlete.
So you take
So
so you take the athletic championship in the sibling rivalry.
oh yeah,
But
oh
who's
yeah,
smarter?
him way
Okay.
smarter.
You should have said you two and just say I got it all when it came to the two of us.
I do fine in school, but nothing compared to him.
I gotcha. I gotcha. All right. So y'all are growing up. Obviously, this gymnastics thing happens. Some gymnasts we talk about, it literally starts from the time they walk. Sometimes it's later on. For you, how did it start?
So my gym is actually right across the street from my house, which is very rare for gymnasts. I feel like most girls like travel hours to go to their gym, but mine was just right across the street and we didn't know it was a good gym. So I had a lot of extra energy and my mom was like, let's just try mommy and me classes at 18 months. And then from there, I just never stopped.
And it always seems the best ones stories are because that's the way I like to imagine. When you see the best gymnasts, like I think of them from the time they can walk, already doing these tricks. And my host, if he was here, his daughter is 6 now, but going all the way back, he had her in classes that early. And people say, "What do they do?" But you see them learning the basic technical fundamentals. At first, they let you just play, right? You just play on the
Yeah.
mats and you do all the stuff, and then as it gets to a certain point, just a basic rollover, right, and handstand, and it gives you all those fundamental trainings to where all the other things come because some people don't understand it. Like, what can you do that early? But you'd be amazed. It's no different than, I started playing soccer. My dad had signed me up at 4, and you had to be actually 5. And at 4, it's not like you're doing anything like super. You're just running, right? You're just running back and forth and kicking a ball. So why can't
Yeah.
you do it at 4 versus 5? Same thing. You're just getting them out there. You're rolling around on the mat, doing cartwheels, flips, whatever.
Yeah. I feel like most of my teammates and college teammates and club teammates, we all started pretty young. I feel like most girls start around like 2 to 4 ish, but yeah. It's always crazy because I feel like gymnasts, it's a very young sport. I mean, you kind of age out of gymnastics at like 23-ish,
Mm.
if you're lucky, depending on how old you are for your grade.
Yeah,
So,
Simone is the freak of nature.
oh yeah. Oh yeah. Doing gymnastics at 27 at her level is absolutely unheard of.
I
So,
like following uh what's her name? She was for UCLA on Instagram. But what she does is she tries to do while I'm thinking of her name, she tries to do current tricks. And it's funny what you're talking about because she's only 24, but she's talking about at her age how hard it is. And you know, a guy like me looks at her, I'm 40, and I'm like, it's your age, like, right? But it's what you just said. And, you know, for her, that's actually old. Her career is over. You know, she graduated 2 years ago. But it's funny, her trying to see her try to do some of the things these college girls are doing, and then now she's even been doing some of these things that these Olympians are doing. But yeah, it is a unique thing that, you know, when you're young, but you also, you talk about age out, you also kind of get an idea level wise, right? One of the things that I learned when we first started interviewing gymnasts is, you know, by a certain age and a certain level, if you're going to be able to take this thing further.
yeah. Yeah. I feel like gymnastics is one of those things that it's very hard to like do it with like it's very much so a natural talent kind of sport. You definitely can work, and I've seen so many people. I've seen honestly some of the best gymnasts have to work for it, but it is a lot easier if you have natural talent. So just kind of it's like one of those things.
Right. Gracie Kramer was who I was thinking of from UCLA, which she had one of my favorite routines when she did the like crazy spooky one. But
I
um
remember that one.
and she does some fun ones too because she'll have she had like a stunt double, like we were just talking about earlier with acting, and she would try their tricks and they would try theirs, and it actually showed you how talented those people are. But yeah, like I have a friend right now, his daughter, she's, you know, 10 years old and she's already a level 9.
Mhm.
And so to what we're talking about, he's like, you'll know at an early age if they're going to be, because they'll have to be to a certain level if they want to compete and you know, train at certain gyms and qualify. Like I imagine it's like that, right? Like certain gyms, they don't just take anybody. Even if you got a, you know, pocket full of money, you have to be a certain level if the coach is even going to use their time, right?
Yes, most people say actually this is very most people like as they like level up, they usually start at like a lower gym and then they'll move up to like more of an elite gym kind of thing.
Hmm.
But some people, I was very fortunate. I never had to move gyms, which is very rare in the sport of gymnastics. People move a lot for it just because certain coaches are in certain places and you want to go to that coach so that you can be better. So, like, just kind of depends what
Right.
like lottery you win.
So, for you, you know, influence wise, was, you know, sometimes it's as simple as parents, sometimes it is that coach, you know, when you're young, or sometimes it's maybe even, you know, that Olympian that we're talking about watching on TV. Who was your greatest influence in wanting to be, you know, great at gymnastics?
Um, I would have to say my coach, Becky Doggett. I've had her since I was like 5 and joined team. She's brought me up in the sport. I would be absolutely nowhere without her, to say the least. She has taught me every bit of my basics, every fundamental skill I've ever learned. She taught me. Um, I have been so fortunate with some of the best coaches. So, but she has absolutely like she has created me to be the gymnast I am today. So, without her, I would not be anywhere, and I am so thankful. But she was actually a gymnast herself, and her her 3 daughters were too. One of them quit younger, and then both of them went to college, and she went to college at West Virginia. So she's been such a great inspiration for me and just like somebody that I can always look up to and like talk to about anything. So I would definitely say her.
Yeah, and I love answers like that because that just shows that they're doing, you know, not even just what they're paid to do, but above and beyond because they made someone love the sport that much that you're now in college doing it. And so that's what it's all about right there. So let's talk about, you know, performing before college. You talked about the state of Ohio, you know, you had massive success. first place finish on the floor at the 2022 Ohio State Championship among a whole list of things that you were able to compete. You finished second all around as well. When you come to the state of Ohio for these championships, like, I mean, is there a lot? I don't know state to state what the difference is, right? Like, because I know we've had a lot of gymnasts from Texas and it's massive, right?
Yes.
Is Ohio kind of smaller or is it pretty big itself?
It's pretty big in the sport of gymnastics. So gymnastics and JO, they call it developmental program now, but when I was kind of doing it, it was called JO, which is Junior Olympics. It's split up into regions. I think there's 7 or 8, and region 7 is usually really, really good, which includes like I think Texas, California. I don't know exactly what states, but Region 5 is a very good state, which has Illinois, Michigan, Ohio, and I want to say Kentucky. So we are usually one of the stronger regions. And Ohio is usually one of the main contributors for that, along with Illinois is another one because they have a couple really good gyms as well. And then Michigan has some like sprinkled here and there, but there's a lot of good gyms in Ohio. So it's very different. But
Right. So for you, was there, we were talking about these movies earlier, some schools have gymnastics, some don't. Did you have it as part of your high school?
we had it as part of our high school, but I wasn't allowed to compete in it because I would have to take off of like my level 10 stuff for a certain amount of months to be able to do it in high school to win like championships. And I knew that college was kind of the end goal. So I was just like, can't really take off that because then it puts my shot of getting recruited kind of down the drain. So it's just kind of not ever really going to work.
Right. So, you obviously have success like we talked about. How early for you, because I'm assuming you got recruited before the rule change, how early did you start getting recruited?
So in 2019, it's called the Nastia Lukin Cup. It's one of the like most prestigious gymnastics meets that you can make for Junior Olympics, and I made it that. So back in 2019, I was kind of getting recruited, and then the rules changed, so I kind of stopped getting recruited, and then it picked back up. So in 2021, I think I committed to Maryland. I want to say. I
Sometime
think so.
around there.
Sometime around there. It was the October of my going into my junior year.
So I
So,
gotta ask the most obvious question that, as a thought of my mind as a girl from Columbus, was there a big thought in going to Ohio State?
so there was. I mean, I have grown up an Ohio State football fan. I will forever be an Ohio State football fan. There's no denying that part of me, and you can't take that out of me. So, of course, it was a thought, but it is about 20 minutes away from my house, and I kind of just wanted to like. I love my family with everything in me. I'm super close with all of them, so it's just like it was really sad for me to think about leaving them, but I knew that for college I kind of wanted to go on my own and like kind of I knew that if I never left Columbus, I was never leaving Columbus. So I kind of wanted to give myself a shot to see the real world a little bit before maybe deciding to come back or not, or we'll see.
And I love it. And the thing about it is, whether you're talking about Maryland or Ohio State, like, there's no wrong choice, right? You're going to an elite school academically, athletically, you're going to get a chance to thrive. And so I like that you chose the one where, you wanted to be adventurous, have something new. So when you get to Maryland and you leave home, and, I specifically have never been to Maryland, so I don't know. But I have been to Ohio quite a few times. Is it a culture shock? Is it not too different? What's it like when you get there?
It is definitely a culture shock. I am not used to the East Coast way of life. It is so different than the Midwest. I completely did not expect it. I was just kind of like, I don't know, like I feel like people say that East Coast is so different, and I was like, no way. But it really is. So it was definitely very different, like just like the way that people like hustle and bustle. It's very different, along with like Ohio's so spread out, and it's mostly just like not farmland, but like kind of farmland. I mean, I don't live in a farm, but like it kind of outside of it, it's a little bit more grassy, whereas like Maryland is way more like city life, which is not exactly what I'm used to. So definitely different, but I love it. I could not say a bad word about it.
So you get there, accomplish many things. First of all, you were on the Big Ten freshman to watch list. You were able to earn freshman of the week honors. But I want to talk, right out the gate. Obviously you have the red versus black, but Westchester, be honest, school I've never even heard of. So not a big school, but nonetheless, it's your first collegiate meet. What were the nerves like?
Off off the charts. I was so nervous, so scared. I'm very used to competing. Like just over the years, I've become like pretty resilient to competing, and it doesn't really bother me. But going into my first college meet, it was like complete shell shock. I was a mess, but we we figured it out and we made it work. But it was definitely something I haven't experienced before, and I had never had nerves like that.
Yeah, no doubt. It doesn't, like I said, it doesn't matter who you're going against. It's still the first time you're doing it on that stage. But, you have meets against, when you're in the Big Ten, obviously Michigan is a name in gymnastics, the draws, and Sierra's on that team, and she's somebody that eyes draw to. Obviously, I know that Nebraska's good, Ohio State's good. I got to see them in person to open the season at LSU, so I know they're good. So a
Yeah.
lot of really good competition. What did you think just overall? Did the Big Ten competition meet the expectations of what you thought you were going to be getting into?
Definitely. There was certain meets where it was just like everyone was on their A game and from other teams, and it was just absolutely insane to watch. I mean, the Big Ten is really coming up in the gymnastics world, which is super exciting to see because usually it's SEC that kind of dominates the field, which is great. And of course, you never want to take away from that, but it's kind of cool to see other schools kind of trickling in there, such as like Cal and like there's so many other schools that are like starting to trickle into the scene that I really like to see. So it's very entertaining.
Yeah, and we just had Ella Cesario from Cal on, and we have a couple more of them girls because she wanted us to have the team, and I gladly said yes because you're talking about a team that was runner up, and they're all going to be back, and it's like, why would I not want to talk to a team that's probably going to be back in the championship? But you're right, a lot of your West Coast teams, obviously UCLA, Utah, you see those, and then it's SEC, so it's good to see other schools like that opener against Ohio State, they brought it against LSU. They weren't scared in an opening meet. And I'm glad I can't remember the girl's name because I don't want to call her out. They had a real chance, and then um, on the beam, on the final beam, I mean, if she had one of those where if she just completely nailed the routine, they could have won it, and she slipped and fell off. So they definitely, and then you're talking about a team that won the national championship, and so you had them on the brink in the opener. So definitely good gymnastics in the Big Ten. Y'all had the Maryland quad that you hosted. I love these quad meets now that I went to because I had never seen one until I went to the SEC championship where it's set in that format. And then I went to regionals and then to the national championship. So I think it's awesome because I'm somebody who loves like constant action. And when you see teams and you see gymnasts, like it's just moving, moving, moving. For you, what's it like when you're at one of those quads and there's four different teams there and there's just constant action going on?
So the energy is amazing. We had a couple quads in a row, and then we had a meet against Towson. That was just a double, and it was so weird. We felt like everyone like wasn't cheering because it was so quiet in there, but it was really just like we didn't have the other teams to kind of bounce off of. So I love the quads because I love a super loud and like energetic arena. It's like very like it fuels me to do better, I feel like. So having that is always I feel like it kind of makes me like rise to the occasion a little bit more. So I absolutely loved it.
Yeah, and I think it's a great scene. And I was looking at it, what you were just talking about. Yeah, y'all had four of them in total, so a lot of different opportunities to go to different places. Even the Yale one where y'all definitely took care of business. That was everybody in there, but a different scene, a different set of teams that you're not used to seeing. So I imagine even that one, even though it was a little easier, was fun because it was just something different.
Yeah, that was that Yale meet was easily the loudest meet we have ever gone to. Um, it was like nothing I've ever heard. I loved it though. It's always like just like the other teams, even like screaming, it just makes it so much more fun to be in the arena, and it makes it so much more fun to compete. So yeah, I couldn't complain at all.
Yeah, no doubt. So y'all ultimately end up in the regional in Gainesville, and I got to see Utah, like I said, in Fort Worth. They were everything that was advertised. Obviously, you had a good Michigan State, and then Towson, who you had seen. I'll just keep it simple, because y'all did really good. You held your own, but like I said, as good as Utah, Michigan State were, just talk about that meet, how much fun it was being in Florida in the regional, but just, how good, that Utah team was and how you're probably not surprised that they're the ones that came out on top.
I was not surprised at all. Though we are very good, there is still some like that regional meet was not our best meet by any chance. Like we definitely made some mistakes and there was definitely like room for improvement, but that meet we really just went out there trying to have the most fun that we could because we weren't necessarily expecting to move on. Of course that would have been amazing, but like for us our mindset is always like walking into a meet, it's always just to have the most fun that we possibly can and just like have fun cheering alongside of our teammates because we are a super tight knit group. So just having that was really fun. But I mean, the Utah girls are amazing. Like I couldn't help but look and like watch them even in like practice and stuff. Like I wanted to look to see what they were doing. So and Michigan State, we absolutely love Michigan State. They're some of the sweetest girls, and our teams are kind of close. So it's always great to seeing them succeed and stuff. So it's always great for the Big Ten too. So yeah,
Well, looking at what it's going to take into next year, because you're talking about, it being a learning experience, rolling down the roster, if I got this right, you only had four seniors, a lot of juniors. And so, obviously, I'm not going to ask about if anybody left or anything but it seems like you're a team that next year may be a year that's forming up, y'all getting this experience against these teams in the Big Ten and then the regionals, and then a lot of the freshmen and sophomores like yourself developing and learning, and then you are going to have a ton of leadership because, like I said, if I'm reading this right now, I'll say I'm seeing a lot of JRs next to names. So, am I getting that right? That like next year could be a year that could be big time for Maryland?
oh, definitely. We have a great leadership with our juniors, which are now seniors. They're the sweetest girls I could ever ask for. They're so nice. They're like my little moms when I'm there. They always make sure that I'm safe and everything. And it's always like I love hanging out with them. I love being around them. They're such like a positive light on the team. So, and not to mention their gymnastics is amazing. We also have Alexa Rothenbuscher. I always say her last name wrong, but she is great. She was a senior last year, so she's going to be a grad student. Um, and she is amazing. The only thing that she doesn't compete is beam, but she did exhibition it this year and did amazing. So we could see her slide into that all around spot because Emma is gone now. Um, Along with most of the freshman class was injured this year. So just kind of seeing how everyone kind of shakes up and comes back in. Um, it should be a great year. And we have a great freshman class coming in who have gotten a million achievements this year and they look amazing. So super excited to see what this year holds.
Yeah, no, and I'm excited because if you follow me enough, you'll see that I go watch all our guests. It's something I take pride in, and so I can't wait till y'all schedule comes out. And now that I've gotten to know you, I will find a way to try to go see. Hopefully, it's one of these quad meets we're talking about, right? But you
Yeah,
talking about the one event she doesn't do. I almost forgot to ask. It listing here. Did you do bars this year?
I did not.
What's going on
Bars
with these
is
bars, Natalie?
uh, it's a rough one. My consist our bar team. When I say they do not miss in practice, I mean they do not miss in practice. Every handstand is hit. Every landing is stuck. Like they leave. zero wiggle room to like make a mistake in there. And this year I just wasn't quite consistent enough to earn my spot, which is totally makes sense. And then also just they weren't quite ready to throw me into an exhibition spot this year yet. We have a huge roster of bars. So just kind of like filling out the depth, I just didn't quite make it. So
It's all good. 3 out of 4 ain't bad. No, I imagine that as a freshman, getting to participate in three as much as you did was something you're very proud of. Some freshmen don't even get out there at all, and it's watching and learning, and you to get in there and like you said, learning from a lot of these upperclassmen. I'm excited to see what y'all do next year in the Big Ten, and hopefully, it's one of those things where we're reflecting back and talking about how you lost to a Utah in a regional, and this upcoming year we're talking about how you go win a regional and making that next step, and hopefully when it's all said and done you can push towards the national championship. But it all starts with the Big Ten championship, and I'd love to see y'all knock off one of the big guns. But with that being
yes.
said, I'm gonna put you on the hot seat. We're gonna play a game called This or That. You down to play?
Yes, absolutely.
All right, very simple. You get two options,
Okay.
one or the other. Can't say neither, can't say both. It is brought to you by, I don't have, if you notice, I did the vacation screen. Daniel is not here. I'm not in my studio, so I don't have any of my props for, promoting stuff. So I'm just gonna go with the athletic collection. If you want to support different athletes from different schools, you can get your t-shirts, you can get your posters, you can go on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, or just to athleticcollection.com. Go support these athletes through NIL. But that being said, Nelly, let's start with the first one. Would you rather have cereal with no milk or peanut butter with no jelly?
Peanut butter with no jelly.
Oh, see, peanut butter isn't bad at all. I have no issue, but like I would prefer jelly more than I can just eat cereal out of a bowl. Like I don't know.
See, I've never had a peanut butter and jelly sandwich in my whole life.
What?
Yes. So I feel like I'm not missing out on much.
So tell me you're allergic to peanuts. There's got to be a reason behind that answer. You've just never
No,
had one.
I've never had one. A lot of girls eat them before the meets just to get like a little like pre kind of carb
Yeah,
sugar
well, there's protein
pickup.
in peanut butter. Yeah, what are you doing here, Natalie? So
I
now
don't
I'm gonna
know.
look. I'm literally gonna get kicked out of your meet because what's gonna happen is you're gonna be out there, and I'm gonna fling a sandwich bag at you from the crowd, and they're gonna kick me out because I threw a sandwich. Be on Sports Center. I'm gonna look. I'm just trying to get her a peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never just like had a sudden like I don't know. I've never wanted to try one for some reason.
Well, now, like, I never thought I'd issue a challenge like this in my life. Like, usually we issue like really hard challenges like around here, but I just need you to go get a peanut butter and jelly sandwich now, and we can do this.
Yeah, maybe I should try one. I'll let you know if I try one
There
and
you go.
my take on it.
All right. Would you rather have a fast car or a luxury car?
Luxury car.
All right. Would you rather go to the beach or go to a luxury pool?
Mm, beach, I think.
So I was always a beach person until 2 days ago. Like you said, you see the vacation stuff in California. And maybe it was when I was younger, I didn't mind as much the sand and everything. But me and my son went to the pool at Disney, and then we also went to the beach um, in Anaheim. And I don't know, I just liked not having to deal with all the sand and just getting in the pool and just drying off. And it was that. Obviously, the beach has its appeal, right, and all the things that come with it. But I don't know. Now that I've just made everything too hard, Natalie. But yeah, the beach. I tell you what, we went to Huntington Beach. I went to the West Coast with the Navy back in the day, and I was in San Diego. Those waves in San Diego were not as big as these ones at Huntington Beach. They were throwing me and my 12-year-old son like around like crazy. My wife got out there for just a minute, and she was like, "All right, this is too much."
Yeah, I it's actually a new thing that I like the beach more than the pool. I've always said that I like the pool more. However, If I was to get a wave pool, that would be my perfect compromise because I'm also not a huge fan of the sand and stuff. It's just kind of annoying a little bit. It's hard to like lay out and tan there too. You get so hot, but I just love the vibes and I love like jumping waves and being in the ocean. It's nothing. I don't know. I feel like a pool can't beat it.
I'm trying to think. I'm picturing it right now. Like I said, I've been to Ohio. It doesn't. I was trying to think if it touched the Great Lakes. It doesn't, does it?
It does.
It does.
Yep.
So how far are you from a lake?
I a small well, we have like I'm like smack dab in the middle of like two smaller lakes, but up to Lake Erie is about 2 hours.
Gotcha. Because I know when I was stationed in Chicago and we went out there when it was actually warm, because when I first got stationed there, it was winter and that place was miserable. And I don't know why anybody would want to live there. But when I actually went there when it was warm and I saw people out on the lake, the lakes out there are beautiful. So I do know why people live there then after I saw it during the warmer months. But I imagine the way those lakes are constructed, it doesn't matter if you're talking about Lake Michigan, I think is what Chicago's on, right? Or where
Yeah.
you're at, Ohio, those lakes are all pretty and have the availability to go out there on boats and everything.
Yeah. Yeah. They're huge and beautiful.
Which
It's
leads
always
to
so
the
fun.
perfect question. Would you rather have a private yacht or a private jet?
Private yacht, I think.
Me too.
I
Daniel's a
think.
jet guy. He says he doesn't like boats. He doesn't have time for all that. He wants to go place to place. I joined the Navy for a reason. I love being out on a boat. I'll take my time.
Yeah.
Plus, if you got a private yacht, you got money, you probably have everything you need on that yacht, so you're good to go.
Yeah, and you're just I'm kind of scared of planes. I don't really love turbulence and I would imagine that my private jet wouldn't be huge. Like I don't like going on small planes at all. Um so I feel like I would struggle a little bit with a private jet.
What was that thing they had a couple weeks ago? Like the computers went down. I'm like, well, wait,
Yeah.
what? Like, and it's kind of a scary thing that all these planes are connected to like this one computer source, and it's like, you see those movies where like there's a hacker and they take over, and it's like, wait, this can really happen? Like somebody can just take down all the airplanes that they want. That's scary.
Yeah.
Makes you not want to fly.
And it's like terrifying that like without that one thing they wouldn't know where they're going. Like that's really scary. Also, like just storms, like the fact that I'm stranded in the air and like I can't get out, I don't like that. It's
Well,
better being on a boat.
I take my son most of the time, but me and my daughter go to a lot of soccer or gym. She's been with me a couple LSU gymnastics meets, and I tell people all the time, they're like, "Man, you drive so far." Like, because I like the farthest one I made this year was 12 hours, but you can't
Oh
beat
wow.
road tripping with your kids. Sometimes we get technology. We'll watch movies on the iPad and the center console, but a lot of times we just talk or we play games or whatever. And I tell people the amount of time I spend bonding with my kids. And at the end of the day, you miss a lot of stuff on planes. Like this last trip, we're driving by the mountains, like and seeing it. If you're flying over it, it doesn't look the same as driving through them. And so
Yeah.
an appreciation for driving. And I bring that up just to say I'm not a big flyer either, not because I'm just necessarily scared, but I don't know. I just have an appreciation for driving, but you got to have time. And some people just don't want to, they want everything fast. But a yacht, you know, I tell people when I was in the Navy, you go out to the middle of the ocean and you see just how blue it really is. Like there's nothing that beats it.
Oh no, not at all. I my some of my favorite moments have like been in the car. Like I love when my mom comes and picks me up from school. Um so at Maryland we get to live in like apartments our freshman year. So I live in the same apartment all 4 years. So I got my car this year. So we had to drive out and it's about 7 hours. And then my mom didn't want me driving home. So she came out to like fly out with me to drive back. And it was just it's always great just like getting to catch up to her and like being in the car with her. Like even though we got home at like 2 a.m. because we just wanted to boogie out after my exam, it was just I don't know. I love being in the car with my family too. It's just you don't get bonding moments like that
Yeah,
any
and
other
especially when you
time.
get to when you get to an older age, right? I thought it was great that you said, I know the exact situation. My dad, when I was stationed in California, I had to drive back to the East Coast. And it's like, man, that's a long drive I got to make. And my dad literally is like, I'll fly out and ride with you. And so, yeah, it works out. But I'll tell you, when you got to make that long drive like that, it's all about nap schedules, right? Because even though you're going to spend some time together, figuring that out. But it's pretty funny that, the plane thing and the storm. So won't be catching. What happens when the team has to? What happens when y'all got to meet at UCLA? What are you gonna do? You're gonna have to fly.
We fly a lot. I take melatonin, or like I try to take like some sort of like sleeping pill, or so that I can try to go to bed. Usually doesn't work. My teammates like they we like sometimes I'll sit with my head coach Brett, just because he makes sure that I'm not like gonna pass out.
See, I
One
saw
time I
y'all's
was
home and away record, and y'all were 6-1 at home, and now it all makes sense because y'all didn't sleep on the flights because y'all were nervous about these planes you had y'all, and y'all didn't do too good on the road. It all makes sense now. When y'all were at home, slept in your own bed, you performed. So, need to make sure that all the toughest meets next year are at home. I got it.
Yeah, we do have a hard home schedule, at least for the Big Ten so far. We're hosting UCLA. Um, we're going out to Washington this year, which I'm really excited about because I heard it's one of those like it's a very beautiful campus, and I'm really excited. I've never been to the state of Washington. It's one of the
My
few states
my
I haven't.
dad lived in Washington State, and he's lived all over the country, and he still swears by it's the most beautiful place he's ever lived.
Yeah, I've seen like pictures, and it looks absolutely beautiful. So I'm really excited to go out there.
I might have to
I don't
come
know.
catch that UCLA meet. That sounds like that'd be good. Of course, Shay Campbell, who's the guest of the show, I think she's done. Pretty confident she's done, so I wouldn't be able to see her. I think
Yeah,
she might, by the way, I thought about this earlier when we were talking about how early gym start. I can't remember if she's the one. I feel like she's the one that was the freak of nature and didn't start till she was like 8. I could be wrong. But for whatever reason, she's the one that's sticking out to me. But we had one gymnast on there that didn't start till they're 8, and we're like, wait, what?
that that's rare. I feel like. I mean, some people do. I could not imagine. Um, but it mind blows me. It like really confuses me how they like catch up because
I think your
usually in like,
athleticism has to be out of this world
oh
because
my god, yeah.
then they just have to teach you the technical part and you're already there. Some people, because if you're coming up young, they have to build up that strength and endurance and everything else. If you already have those things and you can just teach them the technical aspect, you'd still be behind on things, but it probably helps speed up the process for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy, but like some people do it. I feel like gymnastics is one of those sports that's young, but also some people like one of my teammates I think started at like 11,
Mm.
which is completely crazy because usually you're getting recruited around like
I got
16
recruited at
ish.
11.
Yeah, so it's definitely different. Like when I was 11, I was going into like my first year level 10. So just completely different, but I mean, whatever works.
Yep. All right, here we go. We got your last three. Well, it's like two questions on one, so four. These are the hardest ones. This is where it gets serious right here now. All right.
Okay.
Beam or vault?
Vault.
All right. Vault or floor?
Vault.
So you're saying if coach came to you and said you can only compete in one competition this year, we're narrowing it down for the girls. You're saying vault's where you're going.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I love vault. I feel like vault's one of those things it's really fun for me because I can usually pull out a vault on any day, which I'm very hard on myself. I'm a very like much so of like a perfectionist. So if I can't do it good the first time, I am not super open minded about keeping on going, which is a little rough sometimes, but it's okay. That's definitely something that we are working through.
I think the most fascinating thing that I learned about vault since we've been covering and going to gymnastics meets, you learn more and more. But as I went and I started noticing was you don't see on TV them adjusting the vault table, right? Or when there's breaks and you wonder why there's a pause, and it's because they have to fix it because something broke. And so people don't realize it's not as just as simple as there's something there and then you go jump off of it. It's got to be adjusted for your height and everything. And then there are malfunctions in the equipment. So that's one of those things that I never had saw on TV. And then you go there and you realize the vault, there's a lot of pain that comes with the vault.
Oh yeah. It can be very painful sometimes. I feel like 1.5s kind of take the pressure off of my ankles a little bit. Instead of coming in for fulls, because usually when you're trying to stick a full, you tend to come in a little bit short, whereas a 1.5, you're kind of on the front, so it's not nearly as bad. So that definitely helped. However, floor did not help at all. Having the two double backs never,
Right.
well,
Well,
one's a
and that
fuller,
was
but
another thing that was different about the Olympics, right? Like, I'm used to you want to stick in and have no movement in college, and then you have someone, I'm just going to use Simone again, who, when they do a otherworldly trick, it doesn't matter that they take that hop back. Like, I'm not used to seeing that because when I'm watching LSU, it's like, please stick it and don't have that step back. And watch the Olympics, it's no big deal.
oh yeah, it's a completely different ball game. Like college gymnastics is so just like focused on every single little tiny detail, whereas elite, it's kind of like if you can get that difficulty up, then you can kind of take a couple little tenths here and there for execution. However, elite's execution, like in college, you can only take a half a tenth for a fall, whereas elite, it's a full tenth.
Mm,
So different stuff like that.
right.
But
I'll tell you this, especially because I went to 6 different LSU meets and totals here. I'm pretty sure I didn't watch Haley Bryant not stick a vault at any point. I'm pretty sure she stuck everyone. Like my son, it was beautiful because it wasn't like something I told him to go say or whatever. It was so organic, and I didn't know he was going to do it. And he just walks up to her and tells her that she's an alien because what she does isn't human, and she just giggled and laughed. Thought it was the funniest thing in the world. And I was like, he says what he's thinking, but I was like, he's not wrong, right? Like he's watching her do these things. He's making an observation. And it's like, this girl just don't make sense.
she is absolutely amazing. I watch her. We watch a lot of like the other college meets just to kind of see like how scores are shaking out, like what they kind of look like, because college like scoring can sometimes be a little off. So kind
Mhm.
of just to see what it's looking like at different meets, kind of fun to look. But I mean, she is. I will never miss a meet from
Yeah,
her.
I
I
mean,
was
she's an outlier in the sense of like, so what you're talking about. So I'll say I own it. LSU's probably one of the worst, but all of the SEC I know, so they get home cooking right on the scores. When you watch Haley Bryant on the road, she still does the same thing, still gets the same scores. To your point, like it doesn't matter. Like, and that's why, like I said, I think my son made that observation. She's just so good, and the fact that um us as gymnastics fans, but even LSU fans get her back, like. It's like this is crazy. And Kaya actually had the opportunity to come back. She went ahead and started working for ESPN. And I love her reasoning. She didn't put this public, but I'll tell you because I can tell the fans. You want to talk about character? She said that there were girls behind her that had been waiting their turn, and she didn't think it would be fair to take that. And that, with the opportunities that she had, working with ESPN and everything, she just wanted to move on. And so says a lot as a teammate to say, hey, I'm not going to do this for another year and prevent another girl from their opportunity. So thought it was pretty cool of her because if she comes back along with everybody else that's coming back, LSU's right back there in the mix.
oh yeah. I was really excited to see that she was gonna stay for a fifth year. I know that there was a bunch of rumors that she was not coming back, which was a little bit sad. But I mean, she did amazing at national, so it was like, why not? I mean, she won every single award that a gymnast can win this year, so it's kind of like wow, like do you really want to come back for another year? But I don't
Yeah,
doubt that
no,
she
it
will
was
win
one of
it
those
again.
things that I had thought the year before last. I thought, man, I don't know that I've seen a gymnast, at least as long as I've been watching the SEC, as good as Trinity Thomas. And it was like Haley was like, hold on, wait a second, let me do this year. And the fact that I got to see it that much in person, and she's so humble. Like if you give her a compliment, like I mean, she acts like she's still not used to them, right? Like, oh, thank you, and whatever. And like I said, even my son could make her laugh. So, it's gonna be fun to watch her again, and it'll be interesting LSU because we started watching LSU because of Kaya Johnson. She was our first ever gymnastics guest. So with her not being there, it'll make everything weird. But what'll be cool is Alana will be back because she had the Achilles tear, and so it's kind of crazy. They're best friends, inseparable. Kaya had root on Alana when she had the Achilles tear, and then they flip flopped, and so yeah. The amount of injuries that happen in gymnastics are also a tough thing, right? In order to win a championship, you have to win the battle of attrition because you even said it. You said we had a bunch of freshmen hurt. You put that kind of impact in on these landings that you'll have. It's not an if, it's a win a lot of times.
Yeah, it's definitely crazy. I mean, there has been more Achilles tears this year than I have ever seen. Um, all season this year, I was nurturing a sore calf, so we were kind of on watch for my Achilles as well. So it was just kind of like it's crazy what's going on. A little scary to watch, like especially watching Olympic trials. It was insane. I like two girls in one meet, especially two that were most likely going to make the Olympics. I
Mm.
mean, one absolutely devastating. I could not imagine that. But it's crazy. The force that like our bodies have to take and keep on taking is a little bit insane. So it is kind of a win in the sport, which is very unfortunate. But
But it's like
our
what we were talking
trainers.
about, right? So Kaya misses a year, but then comes back, wins a national championship in the Olympics. You don't have that opportunity because every 4 years, right? And so I think that to your point, that's why it's sad, right? You know how hard these girls have worked. They work for years and then they go to the Olympic trials and get hurt. And it's like, wow, like their dreams just got snatched out from under them.
Oh yeah, like especially in like Kayla DiCello's like she took a year off of college just to do the Olympics, and she I believe that she probably would have made the team. Same with Sky did compete this year, but I mean, just to like one not have her now in Florida. Florida's lineups will be a little bit different, I think, next year,
Mhm.
losing both of them. But I mean, Florida as a team, they have a great class of freshmen coming in. So, and getting Selena Harris, I mean, they're going to be as amazing as they always are. So, it's just definitely interesting and super sad to see these a lot of like the Achilles and the ACL can sometimes be considered like career ending injuries because a lot of
We
girls don't
thought Kaya's
recover.
was I genuinely because she had been on the show 3 times. We'd seen like double digit meets. We don't go to Baton Rouge without going to lunch or dinner. So she's connected my whole family. She mentors my daughter, like legit family. Like I literally was shedding tears when she was hurt because that was her second one, and I thought she was done. And so to see her come back, be stronger than ever, and be a part of a big part of a national championship, it was really cool. I mean, it was very storybook and something, you feel like you only see in a movie, not in real life.
Oh yeah, like she absolutely came back stronger than anyone would have
I put the
expected. And
videos because I made mini documentary. That's, I mean, because I had so many videos of her live, plus how many interviews we had, and then pictures with my family. It's like 16 minutes long, and but I put the video clips side by side, of her floor routines from the year before, and absolutely was getting more height than she was the previous year, and so it's
oh
crazy.
yeah,
She was stronger.
yeah, I mean the way that they rehab those girls back, you definitely I one of my best friends who actually goes to Michigan State, she's coming into her sophomore year. She tore her ACL for the second time, but like just seeing how they like come back from injuries like that, it's always insane to watch and like how much stronger their leg is. Like even in her case, like her leg that she had torn her ACL on was stronger, like visibly stronger than her healthy leg, which is just so insane that like you can come back from such a major injury like that and be better than you were before. It's just a little bit crazy, but
The advancement of rehabilitation medicine, it's not like it was 20 years ago, and with every year that goes by something new. Next
definitely
thing you
not.
know is, I mean, y'all are going to be on bionic knees and who knows. um
Yeah.
But to the last two questions, that's funny. We did Beamer Ball and then the winner of that against Florida, and then we took like a 5 minute detour. But I love it because it's good quality conversation. Would you now to be clear, they both suck, but you got to pick one. Would you rather be trapped in a cave with a bear or a swamp with an alligator?
Um, I think a bear
I agree.
because I'm not a good swimmer. So I feel like I stand even less of a chance against the alligator,
So
I
here's
think.
my theory. Not only can I not see the alligator if it's underwater, which is scary within itself, I feel
Yeah.
like the bear will get it over quickly. And so,
Okay.
like I said, because you're going to lose these. And so everybody has their reasoning. What's funny is the amount of guests who come on here and think that they are going to like make friends with the bear. And it's like, well, like this isn't a Disney movie. What do you mean you're going to make friends with the bear? Like it doesn't work like that. So, all right, last question, money question. We have asked this question to every single guest that's ever came on. If I offered you a briefcase that had $10 million in it and said, Natalie, here's $10 million. You walk away from gymnastics, you have your money, you're set to go, or you can pass up on the 10 million and you can win a national championship next year. Which one are you gonna do?
I would have to say national championship. Um, you know, money comes and goes. I feel like, I mean, I'm doing enough in school that hopefully I'll make a career for myself. But I mean, gymnastics is so short, and to be at the epitome of your career and what I'm doing, that would just be amazing and something that you couldn't really replace. So definitely a national championship.
Yeah, no, I mean, I used to like try to steer athletes off, and then first of all, we had Paul Skeens come on here who did get $10 million signing bonus. We had him before, and then we had him after, and he said he'd give back the first pick and the money and keep his national championship. But we've had so many guests on here who have won national championship. It's not even about the trophy; it's about the blood, sweat, and tears with your best friends, all the memories that come along with it. Y'all do all these, it's not even just the meets, right? Y'all do all these different things together, and spend so much time together, and you have a sisterhood that's just irreplaceable. And when it ends, holding up a trophy and the confetti drop, like you just can't put, a price on that.
No, absolutely not. I mean, these girls are genuinely my best friends. I love them with everything in me. They're so sweet. They never fail to make me smile on a bad day, and on a good day they laugh with me. So like thinking about being able to like share a moment like winning a national championship with them would be amazing, and I would definitely not take that for granted.
No doubt. Well, you are off the hot seat, even though we took a lot of detours. But Natalie, before I let you off here, is there anything you want to plug or promote? Do you happen to know when that schedule will be out so we can all know when we can tune in?
It should be out probably early November, if I was to guess. They don't exactly tell us when it's going to be out. However, our Big Ten is out. So definitely going to be interesting with some new teams being added. But yeah,
We'll look forward to it. What is your Instagram if they want to be able to follow you?
Natalie.Martin_.
There you go. Very simple, not hard to know, but Natalie, we appreciate you coming on. Like I said, I'm gonna try to get out there, but regardless, Daniel, he's a even bigger gymnastics fan than me. We're gonna be watching, we're gonna be rooting you on, and hope nothing but the best of luck for you and Maryland, and stay injury free and everything else we talked about. Hey, just don't land too hard. What can I say?
I'll I'll try my hardest.
All right. Well, that's Natalie Martin, everybody. If you like hearing her story or you just like hearing us average Joe's talk X and O's, please like and share the podcast on Facebook, retweet us on Twitter, listen and subscribe on Apple, Spotify, and Anchor. As always, ratings, comments, hugs, love, feedback, all that stuff is welcome. We'll be back next week. We got Daniel. We have the most star-studded list coming up. We started with Natalie, but we don't have just gymnastics. We got volleyball, we got softball, we got baseball, we got football. we got it all. So stay tuned. We'll see you back next week. And in the meantime, remember, strong body, sharp minds, grit and grind all the time. We are out.